Chris Line for the introduction of the Sterners, as well as O Canada, and we'll get thoughts after that words.
Today's opponents, please welcome the visiting Moncton Miracles. Starting today for Moncton, out of Nevada, welcome 6'5" card number 7, Malik Story. Wearing number 13, out of Arkansas State, welcome 6'6" card Melvin Johnson III. Welcome 5'11" guard out of Iowa State, wearing number 23, Corey Lucius. The big man standing 6'9" at center out of Southeastern, welcome number 33, Tim Mitchell. And welcome 6'7" sharp shooting forward out of Michigan State, number 55, Russell Bird. The Miracles are led by head coach Paul McKeskey and assistant coach Matt Robertson.
Somebody save your soul, 'cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want the good life every good night, you're a hot one to hold. 'Cause you don't even know I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Every night when the stars come out, am I the only living soul around? Need to believe you could hold me down, 'cause I'm in need of something good right now. We could be screaming till the sun comes out, and when we wake we'd be the only sound. Get on my knees and say your friend James Brown. That I can make your hands clap. 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 So can I get a hand clap?
Time to get loud and proud. Halifax, welcome, fresh off their Game 1 victory, the reigning NBL Canada champions, your Halifax Hurricanes. Welcome to the floor, 6'2" card, wearing number 2, Taquan Zimmerman. The pride of Alberta, wearing number 5, welcome 6'3" card, Kenny Ochino. Welcome AUS and CIS record holder, number 7, 6'1" card, Joey Haywood. On IR tonight, welcome number 9, Corionte Del Perry, and number 10, Mike Poole. Next up, 6'6" forward, welcome number 15, the electric Aaron Bowen. Representing the T-Dot, 6'9" center number 22, Ronaldo Dixon. With a great game on Friday night, super fan favorite, 6'8" center number 24, Anthony Cox. Now your starters, Halifax, to welcome your Eastlake starting 5. First up, 6'6" power forward out of New Mexico State, wearing number 1, Tyrone Watson. 6'2" guard out of Auburn, welcome number 14, Antoine Mason. Dangerous on both sides of the court, welcome 6'7" power forward out of Alabama, number 20, CJ Washington. The Beast from the East, welcome 6'8" power forward out of San Diego State, number 23, Billy White. And rounding out the squad, leading his team to the top of the Atlantic Division this season, 6-foot guard out of DePaul, number 12, your captain, Cliff Scales. The Hurricanes are led by head coach Mike Leslie, with assistant coaches Stephen Brown, Chris Pagentine, and Joe Wells, with physiotherapy provided by the Physio Clinic's Kaylee Robertson. Ladies and gentlemen, your reigning NBL champion Hurricanes. Now, folks, please stand, remove your caps, and join Barb Cameron in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Scotiabank Center. We're just about set to get underway with the opening tip of game number 2 between the Moncton Miracles and Halifax Hurricanes. Hurricanes leading the best-of-5 series 1-0. Alongside Vince Williams, my name is Dan Hobson, and the Silver Vision crew gladly bringing this one to you on a Sunday afternoon, a rainy day here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Vince, you were here for game number 1. The Moncton Miracles got off to a good start there in the first quarter. In the fourth quarter, they had a little bit of one, but it got away from there. In the third, they gave up 30 points, and it really turned things around in terms of the Hurricanes getting a victory. So let's get your thoughts on this one before we get to the tip here, my friend.
Well, game number 2 is going to definitely be a pushback game for the Moncton Miracles. They definitely need to get this win here on the road. They got to do a better job, like you mentioned, in the third and the fourth quarter. They did a pretty good job in the first quarter, where they were able to basically have a lead after one, 22-21. But the later quarters, they just didn't have enough, as Halifax just overcame a deficit there, and he pretty much ran away with it. We had a commanding lead, pretty much a double-digit lead between 15 and 17 points the rest of the way. So it's going to be a tough task for the Miracles this afternoon to try to head back to Moncton tied 1 game apiece. But for the Hurricanes look pretty good. They limped into the playoffs here. They went 3-4 in April. They limped into the playoffs, went to the Central Division in the last 2 games on the road. Didn't look very good. Finished off here at the Scotiabank Center in the last regular season game where they were able to capture a victory. But they look good, very good on Friday night in game number 1. And I would see that this is going to continue here for game number 2. The thing that they need to do, they just need to be good defensively, responsible defensively, make sure that they limit the Moncton Miracles to the one and dones, get into the open floor and look for their offense in transition, because it all happens on the defensive end. That's the reason why they are the best team in the Atlantic Division this season.
Well, you mentioned, of course, the one and dones, and that was the scenario. Game number 1, the Miracles only came up with 30 rebounds, and 4 of them were second chance opportunities. That's in that game, so Hurricanes just rebounded them and kept the one and dones, as Vince mentioned. The officials
It's
this afternoon,
game
Paul
time,
Hansen,
baby!
as well as
Put your
John
hands
Hunt.
together,
And
Halifax!
making his return here to the NBL, Dave McGrattan. Haven't seen him here in Nova Scotia quite a while. We're back underway here in the opening quarter. The Miracles and the Blacks and the Hurricanes and the White. Game number 2, Atlantic Division semifinal. Here is Bird. He's one of the only players to play in all 40 games of the regular season for the Moncton Miracles. Hands it off to Lucius. Clock running down. They're going to have to quickly put it up. Shot clock at 1, and a prayer thrown up there by Johnson III. And it's going to be a 24-second shot clock violation to start the first possession there for the Miracles bench.
So a good start there for the Hurricanes. Good closeout on that possession there, limiting, not allowing them to attack the rim. The Miracles were, and Halifax did an outstanding job of forcing that tough shot and that shot clock violation. That's the defense that they need then.
Good ball movement. Here's the captain, Clinkscales, inside the paint. Double team there by Washington. Loses the basketball. Johnson the third on a 2-on-1, but it's stripped there by Clinkscales, but he was on the inline and stepped on it, so it's going to be still Moncton Miracle basketball, but a 2-on-1 the other way, and the Miracles didn't get a shot, Vince.
Good hustle by Clinkscales getting back in transition. Halifax, there was one thing that Halifax didn't do very well, was turning the basketball over, include that 24 turnovers in game number 1. They got to clean that up. That's got to be a point of emphasis to make sure that they take care of the basketball and make sure to have good possessions.
Boy, you scripted that really good as they turned that one over, and Johnson III has it once again, and we just passed the 1-minute mark. Still looking for our opening bucket. It's going to come now from the hands of Malik Stories. He laid it up and in, driving towards the lane. Make it 2-0, and just similar to the way the Miracles started here on Friday night. Here is Mason, swings it over to Watson on the wing. Clinkscales being guarded there by Lucius. Takes it out of the paint, they'll swing it outside. Up fake there by Mason, through the paint, tough take. Draws the contact, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2 free throws. Good possession there by the Hurricanes, taking all of the 24-second shot clock. And now Mason will go to the line. Mason was 1 of 2 from the free-throw line in 17 minutes, and during the regular season was a 66% shooter. And sinks the first one to make it 2-1.
Mason, very slow start. Didn't have a good game in game number 1. He's 2 for 10 from the field, ended up with 5 points in total. He's been averaging about 14 points per game this season, in regular season, in his rookie campaign. But look to find him the rebound and find his offense this afternoon.
Clinkscale throws a bullet towards Billy White, and he can't come up with it, so it's a turnover there. So a little bit clumsy with the basketball here in the early going are the Halifax Hurricanes, leading this best-of-5 series 1-0, game number 2. And we're just underway here from the Scotiabank Center. Melvin Johnson, the third, wide open, and the two-handed flush. That makes it 4-1.
Yeah, good take there by Melvin Johnson, the third. Good hesitation. Was able to get to the rim off that pick and roll. Not enough spacing and help on the backside by Halifax.
Johnson had 17 points in game number 1. Washington spinning and shooting, and contact being called. And this one is going against the Hurricanes.
Hurricane foul on Billy White, his first.
The Canes
team
off to
foul,
the same
number
start
2.
they had in game number 1. A lot of turnovers and ineffective half-court defense, half-court offense, but it all starts on the defensive end here. If they got to get some hands in some passing lanes and get into the open floor and get some easy buckets in transition.
Scoreboard has this the foul to Renardo Dixon. He's not on the floor, so I would guess it's going against Billy White, and that's short. And Billy White will come up with the ball and does a nice bit of feet work just to stay in bounds and pretty well volleyball to Washington. Here is Craig Scales, and Washington being guarded there by Mitchell. Mason with the ball, shot clock at 8. Coming up to 3 minutes gone here in the opening frame. Washington's gonna have to put it up. Shot clock at 3 over Mitchell. Yes, sir. Long distance 2 for C.J. Washington. 8 of 20 from the field in game number 1. And makes it a 4-3 game.
CJ was very good game number 1, as you mentioned,
Russell
16 points.
Bird.
Look to see if that trend continues.
And once again, Bird is the word there for the Moncton Miracles. Finding an easy lane and lays it up to make it 6-3. Mason now swings it over. Watson. Washington finds the opening. And a little bit of help came at the last second there by the Miracles. Just in the nick of time before he could pretty well lay it up. Here is Bird now with 8:17 left to go in the first. Story now. Corey Lucius led the team in assists of the regular season for the Miracles. Mitchell rattles around
Tim
and down
Mitchell.
for the hoop.
Yeah, the big man had a good, strong game in that opening quarter in game number 1. Tim Mitchell, that is. Struggled a little in the latter part of the game. He was 3 for 10 from the field, ended up with 9 points. But he did have 11 rebounds. 10 of those rebounds were defensive rebounds.
Watson, a nice pass, and the finish not so pretty there. And the Moncton Miracles not really known for their defense. Boy, they're coming out, but this is pretty well, talking to the coaching staff, this is what they have to do, is they have to fight along the glass. And if they could do that, they'll come
Melvin
away with
Johnson,
a victory, says their
4-3.
assistant coach. In the meantime, Johnson the third from downtown. It's 11-3.
Yeah, I can't allow Johnson the third, those stand still wide open threes. 40% three-point shooter on the season, averaging 19 points per game. Has been very good.
Once again, another tough defensive stance here for the Miracles. Johnson for 3, and he can't hit from long distance. And it bounces out. Hurricanes get it across the timeline, coming up to 5 minutes gone here in the first. Almost a feeling of deja vu all over again. 7:01 left as the ball goes out of bounds. There's also a foul called on the play here.
Miracles foul on number 33, Tim Mitchell.
It's
His
going
first
against
team
Mitchell.
Foul, number 2,
Be
Anthony
his first and
Cox
second
taps
team
in.
foul. In the meantime, Anthony Cox comes in. There's a substitution here for C.J. Washington. So pretty well the remaining starters on the floor here for the Miracles. That's Lucius, Bird. A little bit of contact with Mason after he put the shot up. It's no good. There is Bird, Mitchell, Lucius, Story, and Johnson the third. Lucius and Cox got over there, but he fouled Mitchell, and Mitchell will head to the free-throw line. And you gotta like the ball movement from the Miracles too, Vince, as they are just, trying not to have an individual effort here, and they're just throwing around and, passing up the good shot for the great one.
Yeah, basically trying to get to the rim and being very aggressive as Lucius was able to attack the rim there and find Mitchell underneath the basket. But if there's one thing in Mitchell's game that he struggles, is definitely the free-throw line. Game number 1, he missed everything in his first attempt. He barely hit the rim on that one. But he did right the ship down towards the end of the game, where he finished the game from the free throw line. Took a quick peek at the numbers. I believe Mitchell went 3 for 6, so he went 50%, but the first 3 attempts was pretty much a circus.
Yeah, he was 67.9% in the regular season. Cox
Anthony
with the tough take and a little bit of flexing afterwards to make it 12-5. Lucius now wide open and had the lay, but decided off to go to the corner to Melvin Johnson the third, who tried to hit the 3 and couldn't. Here is Craig Scales. They're going end to end here at the Scotiabank Center. White and unable to hit. Second chance opportunity. We've seen a lot of that on Friday night, but this time they're unable to cash it in as Bird will cross the timeline to come to the halfway point here. The first. Johnson flies by White too strong on the shot, and then Johnson will get it at a new 24. They were only able to get 4 on Friday, pardon me. Bird tried to backhand it, no look, and came up with nothing. Clink Scales now in the paint, drives it up off the glass and in.
Great attack and transition by Clint Scales. That's back-to-back possessions. He's looking to push the basketball up the floor, and that's what they need. They need to spread the offense, and he needs to be the general and take over the game. And that was a nice dribble drive penetration to finish off the rim with the left hand by Clint Scales.
Lucius with the up fake. Clink Scales in his kitchen. Shot clock at 7. Bounce pass, Mitchell with some speed. Drives toward the rim and will come up with it a second chance opportunity. Bird for 3. Yes, catch and shoot.
Yeah, Russell Bird's very good from beyond the arc. It's that second chance opportunity coming back to bite them. Now, second chance opportunities didn't hurt them in game number 1, but right now the Miracles are making an effort to get after the glass, and you can see in previous possessions, Dan, that they are attacking the rim and getting those offensive rebounds. They struggled, as you mentioned, in game number 1 with only 4 offensive rebounds.
2 already.
And they got 2 already, and they're looking to be very aggressive at getting up and down the floor. So a good start for the Miracles. The Hurricanes are forced to call a timeout, and I would imagine that Coach Mike Leslie would definitely be addressing the adjustments defensively.
Well, it's one of those situations here where, you know, the Hurricanes really want to win this one and really pretty well end the series, because there's a potential of the Island Storm winning this afternoon. They're playing Charlottetown. That game is underway right now. We'll update everybody what's going on at halftime of all the games going on at the NBL playoffs, the first round. So it's really important here. There's no doubt in our mind that the Hurricanes are favored to win this series, and some people predicted that they should be able to do it in 3 straight. It's really important here if they could, you know, put away the Moncton Miracles and be sort of fresh or have the same amount of rest time as the winner of the other semifinal between the Island Storm and the Riptide.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely want to be able to, when you go into a 5-game series, you know there's some uncertainty. You want to definitely hold court. When you have that home court advantage, you want to definitely get the first 2 games here and then possibly steal one on the road to end the series as well, especially if it's only being a short series, the best 3 out of 5. The 7-game series, a little bit more flexibility because you got to win 4 games out of the 7, and you know things can go both ways, especially on the road where you're trying to basically steal one. So it's definitely important for Halifax to get the W and put all the pressure on Moncton to win game number 3 on Wednesday night at the Moncton Coliseum.
Before the timeout,
right now,
Hurricane
Moncton is
foul
making
on
an
number
assertive
1.
effort and playing some desperate
His first
basketball right
team
now. They
foul,
can't
number
afford to
3.
go back to game number 3 being down 0-2. Their head-to-head matchup this year has been favored by the Halifax Hurricanes. Overall, they're 9-1. So, but the only win that Moncton has been able to capture was at home at the Moncton Coliseum. So, interesting start right now.
Cold shooting here for the Hurricanes, 30% from the field, 3 of 10, 42.86% are the Miracles, but they're unable to hit on that one. And in transition are the Hurricanes with 4:30 left to go. There's an entry pass, Cox. He backed in on his man, Theo Davis, veteran here in the NBL. Cox with the tough take and the drive, and Dave McGrattan will call the foul. And it's going to be 3 throws here for Anthony Cox on a nice drive there on a one-on-one.
Team foul, number 3.
That's the offense that they need in that transition, in their half-court set. So good response coming out of that timeout by Halifax.
Cox in the regular season, 50 of 81 from the free-throw line. That works out to be 61.7% at the stripe here. And we'll sink the first one to make it 15-8 here. In the meantime, Dave McGrattan and Paul McKeskey are having a conversation. McKeskey thought on that drive there by Cox, there was a little bit of traveling, a little bit of steps. Still explaining the situation to McGrattan as Cox hits both, and it makes it a 2-possession game, 15-9. 4 minutes and 17 seconds left to go in the first. Tydran Beatty is now out on the floor here. Here's Bird, hands it off. Davis, tough take, and the drive, and now he'll go to the line there. Shoots some 3 throws.
Now, as you take a quick peek at this, the shot chart
Hurricane foul
for the
on number
Moncton
24,
Miracles, a
and
lot
then
of their
comes
shots
the
are coming
second.
inside
Team
that
foul
painted
number
area, so they're
4,
making
Theo
an
Davis
assertive
at the
effort,
line, shooting
whether it
2.
be Tim Mitchell and now Theo Davis, to get the ball inside and try to attack the bigs and wear down the bigs of the Halifax Hurricanes. The Miracles come into this game relatively a small team. They like to play small ball. At times you're going to see they're going to have pretty much all shooting guards and small forwards, as long as point guards out there as the 5, as you know, they try to flex in Theo Davis to take Tim Mitchell, some rest and a break, but they like to go to that 2-3 matchup, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can sustain any type of pressure defensively.
Miracles went 1 of 2 from the stripe there, Davis did. They're one of the bottom teams in the free throw shooting percentages, 69.2%. In the meantime, that goes out of bounds, and turnovers starting to be a story of this one here for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, same start as game number 1. They had 10 turnovers in the first 12 minutes. Now they have 6. In all, they had 24 in total. That's the second most this season. The season high is 25, so taking care of the basketball is definitely a point of emphasis, but right now they're not doing a good job.
Cox giving a gift, and then tried to go down and tried to go for the finish, and he is rejected there, can't get it to the hoop. And Moncton playing some D here. Here is Beatty, who had a pretty good performance here, game number 1. 17 minutes, 8 points, may not be the result that he was looking for. Bird shoots the 3, and in his face there was Cox.
Yeah, good close out there all the way to the 3-point line by Anthony Cox.
Watts, long coverage, layup, and bucket.
See, that's what they need. They need those one and dones and push the basketball up the floor. And when the guys are running the lanes, Clint Scales will find you in the open floor. Clint had a pretty good game in game number 1, was very aggressive offensively and distribute the basketball as he usually did. Struggled a little bit in that first quarter, but he righted the ship the rest of the way, ended up with 8 assists.
Yeah, 5 players came away with double figures in points there for the Hurricanes in their victory on Friday night. Hurricanes come fight back here. They were down by a good portion here, and now they're within 5.
Miracles foul
Substitutions
on
as
Tydron
Story
Beatty.
and
His
Brandon
first
Kearney. Now he had a
team
fantastic
foul,
game, played
number
26
4,
minutes
Malik
there
Story,
and scored
Brandon
28
Kearney
of 14
tapped
from
in
the
from
field in
Moncton,
game number 1.
While Tukwon Zimmerman
Second stint here
in
with the
for
Miracles.
Good Guys.
So 3 throws coming up here for the Hurricanes with
Anthony Cox
2:23
hits the
left to
line,
go.
shooting the deuce.
Cox 2 for 2 earlier here, just minutes ago. Back at the stripe here for the Canes. And he'll sink that first one. Got to wonder where he got his socks from, Vince. Those are pretty, I like those ones. You like those ones?
Yeah, just a couple of the guys out there with some interesting socks.
Yeah.
Antoine Mason's got some interesting
CJ
socks too, and Billy's pulled out the
Washington
playoff
and
neon
Haywood.
kicks.
Yeah, I still think
for
that Freddie
Halifax.
Apia, who used to play here in the NBL, had some pretty good looking socks. Those Spider-Man ones.
Absolutely.
I wanted a pair. He wouldn't give them to me, so.
No?
No.
Yeah,
I said, if you ever, if the basketball thing is going to get into the broadcast booth, I'm surprised he hasn't done that yet, but of course. Still lots left here in his tank in terms of play as that goes out of bounds. And that's a 1 possession game coming up to 2 left to go in the first. Taquan Zimmerman, what a fantastic night he had from outside the arc there for the Hurricanes. Back out on the floor. Here is Haywood now as they have a couple of deep, good 3-point shooters out here. Haywood and Zimmerman. Haywood puts it up, and that's no good. Too strong, tapped out, but right in the hands of Theo Davis, hands it off to Johnson the third. A little bit of contact there, and Mike Leslie jumping.
Yeah, he was looking for a
furious
travel.
with the officiating.
He was definitely looking for a travel on that
Terrell
that
Tate
take towards the
taps in.
basket by Melvin Johnson III. Good step through, but it looked like he took an extra step. Nevertheless, the ball's turned over and it'll be Halifax possession, but Mike Leslie was very animated on the sideline there.
Terrell Tate out on the floor. The Canadian here had 15 minutes worth of playing time in game number 1. Washington with an open look, but can't hit it to go. And Davis coming down with the ball. Theo Davis, the 6'11 center out of Rogers State University. Malik Story now, watched by Zimmerman, hands it off to Beatty, spinning. And now that was too many steps called there by the back official, Dave McGrattan. So Mike Leslie gets his traveling goal, but unfortunately it's a couple of minutes later. But it's a 3-point game, 16-13.
Turnovers starting to pile up for the Miracles. That last 3 possessions they've turned it over, and that's been the only 3 turnovers up to basically the 11-minute mark in this 12 minutes of this first quarter. So they did a good job of handling the basketball, but right now it's been pretty shaky.
Beatty over White, and that splash goes in.
Nothing shaky about that jump shot by Tydron.
36 seconds left to go, 5-point game, 18-13. Zimmerman, White thought about it and decided not to. Washington in the paint, spinning, and contact, and it's going against Davis. And hacking the big man here, C.J. Washington.
His second.
Yeah, the big man's got to go to work. That's a good matchup that favors Halifax.
C.J. Washington, the line.
Him against Theo Davis. You got to give Washington the basketball as well as Billy White. Try to wear down
69.2 from the stripe in the regular season was C.J. Washington.
The Miracles. I mean, right now it looks like on the floor, Tydron's got a tough matchup trying to guard Billy in the paint. And Tydron's a pretty big man, but I'm not sure if he has enough strength to guard Billy one-on-one down low. Tydron's 6'7" forward from Benedict College, but I'm pretty sure he's more of a small forward than a power forward. And Billy's going to give him some work to do if they can get the ball inside him in the half-court set.
Well, this first quarter hasn't been pretty in terms of shooting percentages. The Miracles at 36, the Hurricanes at 26. So the Hurricanes just lucky still to only be down by 1 possession. And in the meantime, a good bucket there by Brandon Kearney, leading just, of course, doing what he did there on Friday night, continuing his hot play. Zimmerman, corner 3, and that will go.
Perfect shot at the buzzer. Outstanding play there, but it all set up by the dribble penetration and hesitation by Billy. As Tydron was late on the closeout. An unselfish basketball by Aaron Bowen with that extra pass, giving it to a guy that's been very hot, knocking down that 3 at the buzzer. Just what they needed to cut this lead from 5 to 2.
5 of 12 from downtown and continuing that one, so you give him 6 of 13 in the last 2. And after a sloppy start there by the Hurricanes, they have managed to climb back in this and only be down by 2. And shooting 31.25% there in the first quarter. And the Miracles 40%. So the probably Miracles think should have got a better result, seeing that we're really outplayed them there in the opening 12.
Well, it was deja vu. It's game number 1. I mean, after 12 minutes, it was 22-21. 1-point lead for the Miracles. Now we got a 2-point lead. It was definitely the same start. They came out, looked to be very aggressive, was very aggressive offensively, attacked the rim, knocked down some shots. Russell Bird knocked down some 3s. Johnson III knocked down some 3s. So they got off to a very good start in game number 1 and had a lead as large as 10. Halifax fought back in the latter parts, but it all was part of a timeout. A good timeout called by Coach Mike Leslie, made the adjustments, and defensively they put the clamps on the Miracles, and they got into their game where they were able to get the one and dones and get into the open floor and get some easy buckets in transition. But the unselfish basketball is starting to take over now. You can see in that last possession, the unselfish basketball, moving the basketball, moving the defense, and getting it to the guy with the open shot, and the guy with the open shot knocking him down. This is a make or miss kind of league, but professional basketball is about makes and misses. If you can't make those shots that are wide open, you will not be a professional basketball player for a very long time.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that because the start off the season, we had Gideon Gamble on this team, and he was just unable to hit, and he was shortly released after that. So it's a really good point that you make, and that's pretty well it. You've got to make it to stay, and if you don't make it, you don't stay. It's a development league, and there's really no room for errors.
Just speaking about those errors, Halifax did a good job down the latter part of that first 12 minutes, clamping down on the turnovers, not turning it over. And the Miracles got a little bit sloppy and allowed Halifax to get back into this game by not taking care of the basketball.
Yeah, 6 turnovers for the Hurricanes, as Fitz was talking about, at 3 for the Miracles. As we're back underway here in the second quarter, Washington with the dish from Zimmerman. And the call going against Terrell Tate as he's going to be fingered there for the foul there by John Hunt.
I like this. I like this. Let
CJ
CJ go to work. Get the ball inside and force the bigs, well, not so big, the Miracles, to play defense down underneath the basket.
Well, this is what Matt Robertson, I was talking to him just before the game here, was saying, is we have to really protect the glass and, you know, make things difficult. But all of a sudden, the Hurricanes big men are starting to winning those battles along the glass, and that's how they're sort of climbing back into this one. Washington a chance to tie, and does. 20-20, 20 seconds gone here in the second. Tate out on the floor, being guarded here by Haywood, hands it off Kearney as Bowen was trying to sell a call there, but Dave McGrattan didn't fall for it. Sales job, so it's Moncton basketball here, 14 to shoot. Kearney being guarded by Bowen, inside to Mitchell, spinning on Washington, over Washington, and throws up an air ball. And the Hurricanes have a chance to take the first lead here for them this afternoon. Zimmerman, who got that 3 to end that first frame there for the Hurricanes. Got a little bit of room there from the Washington screen, gets the return pass, and a blocky foul against Tate will be his second, and he's wondering what he did as Dave McGrattan made the call.
Foul number 2.
6 seconds shy here of the opening 1 minute gone here in the second quarter. White swings it in, Zimmerman up fake there, now an entry pass in the paint there. Washington, tough take there as Mitchell was there. Put his arms up and played good solid one-on-one D. Here is Kearney now, 10:53 left. Mitchell with that nice play was watched there by Washington. Beatty now, elbow jumper, yes.
Tydren Beatty.
And Billy White shows a little frustration after that shot.
Yeah, he's got a quick jump shot, Tydren does. Billy's got to close out. He's got to know that Tydren can put it on the floor and get to the basket, but he also can knock down that mid-range jumper.
Haywood Tate, one-on-one matchup as we just passed the 1.5 minute mark here, the second quarter. Washington in on Mitchell, back out, Zimmerman for 3, in and out. And Mitchell with the weak side rebound, hands it off to Tate.
Yeah, that was a good look, good penetration there by CJ and kick out.
Story flies by Zimmerman. Zimmerman doesn't get there in time, and as a result of the flyby, Malik Story takes it to the rim and in. It's a 4-point game, 24-20. Haywood. White, they'll swing it in the wing here to Zimmerman with the clock at 10. White guarded here by Beatty along the end line. Did step out of bounds, and it's going to be Miracles basketball. And you were talking about Beatty covering White. Good one-on-one D there for the Moncton Miracle player out of forward Benedict College. Tate with the take. And foul called here by Paul Hansen. It's going against Joey Haywood. And free throws coming up here for Tate.
Foul number 1.
Tate was 3 of 4 from the free throw line there Friday night.
It seems to be a little bit of it's a different type of ore going on right now on the floor for the Miracles. The Miracles are looking like they're not going to settle for that three-point shot. Now they are amongst the league leaders in three-point shot percentage, attempts, you name it. Like for instance, Russell Bird's got over 300 attempts at that three-point distance. So I mean, they live and die by the three-point ball, but this afternoon they're making an assertive effort to get to the rim. They are attacking the rim. Everybody on the floor is looking to get the ball to the rim.
A nice little run here by the Moncton Miracles. Have them with another 2-possession lead, 26-20 here. 3.5 gone here in the second quarter. Another foul call. That basket won't count as it was before the shot.
Miracles
Foul going against Beatty.
His second.
Be his second.
Foul number 3.
And the third team foul, as you'll hear our public address announcer Chris Lydon in the background mention. 9:26 left. Here's Haywood. Now he had a pretty good fantastic. He was one of 5 players in double figures, 14 points in 18 minutes of play in game number 1 on Friday. Washington, the big man puts it up, and the clock was winding down. Hurricanes come up here with a turnover, and they put it in.
Great bounce there, though, on that second chance opportunity. Mitchell had good position. Washington staying with it, and Bowen getting the second chance opportunity and getting that easy bucket.
Tate takes it strong inside. Mitchell, lots of contact, and Washington's going to be called for the foul. You say you were quite surprised there, but this is the thing is that if they can take it in strong and maybe get them in foul difficulty, they may be able to, you know, take advantage of that and get some of the big men off the floor.
Well, that's the disadvantage and advantage between these two teams. Halifax definitely has the advantage when it comes to the bigs. Now, when it comes to the guards, the guard play is outstanding for the Miracles along with Halifax. They're pretty much even in that particular play when it comes to offense and attacking the rim and be able to knock down shots. Both teams can do it very well when it comes to their point guard, shooting guard, as well as their small forward. Now, where the separation comes is the power forward in the center. No disrespect to Tim Mitchell and Theo Davis, but they have a tough task of trying to guard Billy White along with C.J. Washington. But right now they're doing an outstanding job. And then you put Ronaldo Dixon into the mix, who's a good shot blocking defender. He's a good play right there. He's able to bother that shot. That even brings it even more to the forefront.
Goaltending, basket
Looks
counts
like
for
head coach Paul
Joey
McKeskey's
Haywood.
made his appearance in this game. I was wondering when he was going to get off the bench. We haven't seen him, but he's off the bench now. He's having a very long and animated conversation with Dave McGrattan.
Yeah, well, they're just calling the, not too happy about the call. Goaltending it was, so it's a 3-point game. 3.5 gone here in the second.
Hurricane foul on
Now
Haywood.
Hurricanes called for a foul.
Team
Let's
foul
go against
number 3.
Haywood. And that's a tough one against him because that's his third and the third team foul. So the former St. Mary Husky in a little bit of foul trouble here in the game number 2. Quarter number 2, Beatty
Hydrant
from
Beatty
downtown
for
hits.
3.
I can't allow Tiger in that shot.
6-point game now, 30-24.
Can't allow him to have that standstill 3. I mean, difficulties fighting through that pick and roll.
Shot there by Bowen, doesn't go. Second chance opportunity and a new clock. Washington had dreams of a slam, but it's denied there on the foul by the Miracles. So Washington once again
Miracles
going to
foul
the
on
stripe.
Terrell Tate,
Yeah, second
his
chance
third.
opportunities. Had a
Team
lot of
foul
them in
number
game number
4.
1.
Theo Davis
Aaron
taps
Bowen
in.
looked like he was going to
CJ
throw one
Washington
down, but a great
hits the
decision
line.
finding CJ on the baseline.
4-4 tonight has been Washington from the stripe. 2 more coming up here. 8:04 left to go.
Just got to continue to attack the rim. Continue to attack the rim. That's meaning if shot goes up, at least 4 guys got to, attack the glass, get those second chance opportunities, and force the Miracles to rebound.
Couple of Canadian players already have 3 fouls in this one. Haywood, as we mentioned, and Tate's got 3 as well. And now he'll have the ball as we come up to 4 minutes gone here in the second quarter. A 30-26 game. Miracles leading this one, trailing a series 1-0. And Zimmerman called for a
Halifax
foul.
on Zimmerman.
Be the
his
4th
first.
team foul, and
Team
for
foul
Zimmerman,
number
his
4.
first. As we might have been able to hear our mics pick up Paul McKeskey say, run something. 7:55 left till halftime. So Zimmerman, Haywood, Bowen, Washington, Dixon on the floor here for the Canes. Kearney, Beatty, Story, Tate, Davis there for the Miracles. 7:53, there is Kearney. Off-balance shot actually hits the dirt after putting it up and comes up with nothing. Alley-oop! And a jam there by Washington.
Exactly, the one and dones into the open floor, unselfish basketball. Joey Haywood with a nice push and run out to Bowen. And Bowen with the unselfish basketball again with an outstanding alley-oop to CJ in transition.
Chris Latta with the 3 woos, as you probably heard, back on your device watching this one.
That's how it's done.
Lucius will return here. 2-point game, 30-28.
Team foul on number 5.
And also Melvin Johnson III returns
Melvin
as well.
Johnson and Corey Lucius check in.
Melvin Johnson III was 2 of 8 for 5 points there so far in the game. Seven and a half left to go here in the second quarter. Taquan Zimmerman take what the D gave, and lots of collision there as it turned into a derby there for a bit. And a loose ball foul called against the Hurricanes, and it's going against Zimmerman. It should be his second and the 15th foul. They're going to call it on Washington, maybe his second. So Lucius will come across the timeline. We'll hand it off here to Beatty. One-on-one on Dixon. Oh, puts the brakes on, and then the one-handed right-hand slam.
Tydron's been outstanding in the first 24 minutes of this game and counting. 4 for 6 from the field, 9 points on the afternoon. He's making a very assertive effort to be very aggressive offensively for the Miracles.
Haywood short on that one. 4-point game. Lucius with some nice footwork. Lost the handle momentarily, regains it. Here is Beatty, as Vince mentioned, 9 points. Lucius the rock, and it goes out of bounds off his ankles. Hurricanes basketball, and they'll quickly inbound.
Yeah, good job there by Ronaldo, stepping in his
and
way.
Davis there with a nice little holding party there.
Yeah,
it almost looked like they were waltzing here on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, they got tied up. Looks like a double foul called on Davis and Washington right now, and that's not good for Halifax, so that'll be Washington's third.
Well, you know, it's almost, let's use the hockey term. You and I are both Sens fans. You know, they'll take that one, like, you know, because all of a sudden, as you say, there's 3 on Washington.
Foul number 6, and also
and for
on
Davis, that's 3 on him. But I mean, Davis is what Davis is to the Miracles.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
No
as
disrespect to
Washington.
Davis, but Davis, a role player, comes in and spells Tim Mitchell for a few minutes. Does some good things for the Miracles. I'm not saying he's just in there taking up space, so he can do some good things, but that was a good foul. Picking up that foul on CJ's third.
Ronaldo
Dixon from downtown.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
1-point game.
Been very good all season long, shooting that 3 ball, over 45% from 3-point range.
Here's Beatty now. He'll try to follow up with the 3, but he short ribs that one.
Gotta block him out. Gotta block him out.
Stepped on the end line, goes out of bounds. And we're talking about Mitchell. Like, when he went to the bench, he didn't look really comfortable. And actually, if I look at it right now, he seems to be a little bit better, but he did have a little bit of pain look on his face. But you got to wonder if there's a little bit of concern there for Paul McKeskey and the coaching
Miracles
staff.
foul on Tydron Beatty.
Those Miracles are called for the foul here. We're going to be into 3 throws here pretty well later on here in this quarter, as both teams are right about to the limit, as that was the 7th team foul there for the Miracles, and that one going against Tydron Beatty, his 3rd personal.
Yeah, that's a big foul for the Miracles, and Coach Paul McKeskey making a decision now on Beatty, because Beatty's been pretty much their best offensive player, particularly in this second quarter. He's been very aggressive and very good, attacking the rim and knocking down shots from beyond the arc. And just a little touch on Tim Mitchell, who's had a pretty good game thus far, 1 for 3 from the field, 4 points and 4 rebounds, so they can't afford him missing too much time here going forward. But Halifax just got to continue to do their thing, play outstanding defense, lock them down from beyond the arc, make sure they protect the paint, and get into the open floor. Play that unselfish basketball where they're getting some easy runouts, easy layups, and jams in the offensive transition. That's their game. The Miracles have any chance this afternoon of stealing one here and going back to Moncton tied at 1 game apiece. They got to make sure that every possession is treated like gold. They can't afford to turn it over, and they can't afford to take bad shots and allow Halifax to get into the open floor. If you take a quick look at the statistics right now, the turnover game pretty much even. The Miracles with 6, Halifax with 7. All 7 of those turnovers in the first 12 minutes. Second chance opportunities, pretty much even at 4 and 3. But points off of turnovers, that was probably the deciding factor, and one of the deciding factor, along with rebounds and second chance rebounds and points, was the deciding factor in game number 1 and allowed Halifax to get out to that commanding lead in that second and third quarter and just carried over into the fourth. Right now they're doing an outstanding job. The Miracles are limiting those second chance opportunities and second chance points off of turnovers as well. So we got 6 and 3. The Miracles lead in that particular category.
Shooting 2.
Wing Scales going to the line and was 1 of 2 from the stripe there on Friday. And the regular season 76.9, and I gave him the jinx in that one as he doinks the first one. 32-31. I will never learn.
Oh, wow. It's all good.
Yeah,
The
well,
percentages still need to be told.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe if we just pick somebody from the stands to say the percentages, maybe he'll actually get it in.
Well, he knocks down the second.
Well, it's a tie game as they get back to some seriousness. Bird, downtown
Russell Bird
three.
for
Can't allow
3.
this man to shoot threes.
35-32.
Cannot allow this man. You got to force him off the line. You got to run out at him all the ways to the hip and force him off the line and put the ball on the floor and beat you off the dribble.
He was only 2 of 7 from downtown and had 8 points Friday. Came up with that one to give the Miracles a lead again. As Joey Haywood.
Need more of that. Joey Haywood's outstanding when he gets to the paint. That nice pick and roll 2-man game. Joey Haywood can finish at the rim. It's going to be tough for the Miracles to stay with him with his speed and quickness.
Corey Lucius 1 and done quickly. Bowen with the layup up and in.
I love this
Hurricanes,
lineup. I
36-35.
love this lineup, Dan, that they have on the floor right now for the Hurricanes. Got lots of speed, and you got a great decision maker in Clint Scales in transition. You got Haywood on the wing, you got Bowen on the wing that make great decisions in transition, and they can finish at the rim.
As I mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, that's a 7th team foul there for the Hurricanes. Both teams at 7 in the penalty. Bowen with his first personal. Bird to the line. And he didn't shoot any 3 throws there on Friday night. And Bird was 79.2% in the regular season there. A fantastic first season here for the former Michigan State guard, 6'7". As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, he's the only Moncton Miracle player to play in all 40 regular season games, as that hung around there and decided to drop there on a Sunday afternoon. And it's the Miracles leading once again by 1, as this thing has had a lot of lead changes here in the second quarter alone. The back pass, no look pass there by Clegg Scales to White. He gets the return pass from White. White will put it up over White. And Bird, pardon me. And Paul Hansen and John Hunt get together to call a foul as going against the Miracles. And as we mentioned earlier, this is penalties, free throws coming up here as Mitchell's returns here for the Moncton Miracles. So it's good to see him. As I said, when he left the floor earlier here in this game, he looked really uncomfortable looking at some of the other monitors here at the Scotiabank Center building.
Yeah, quality minutes though there by Theo Davis, Spellington, Mitchell. But outstanding job on the backside for Halifax and moving without the basketball and attacking the rim and getting this second chance opportunity here. And that offensive rebound was Anthony Cox and Aaron Bowen.
Cox now 5 of 5 from the line. The free throw shooting has been fantastic. 13 of 15 here so far for the Hurricanes. They were sort of like bottom 5 in the regular season, but they have put it on. And as soon as I say that, there's the jinx once again as he doinks that one. So they'll be 13 of 16, 1 of 2 that time for Cox. 4:30 left to go. Lucius might got away with a little bit of push off. There's Mitchell there. Throws a wild shot that's no good, and Mitchell once again on the floor there for the Moncton Miracles. He'll have to get back quickly, and he does as he comes into the picture right now. You just seen him a couple seconds ago. Tough D, Lucius. Clegg Scales flies by him. Cox inside to White. And the Hurricanes throw it around. There's Haywood. That's short rim. and gets a second chance and a third chance here for the Hurricanes. Now they'll slow things down and use up a lot of the 24. Clydescales now sees an open lane off the window and in.
Outstanding work, crashing the boards and getting those second chance opportunities and moving the basketball.
Oh, but Story was wide open in the corner three, goes down, and that quiets things down.
Yeah,
quickly.
miscommunication in transition at that wide open three for Story though.
40-39 as Cox is inside on Mitchell. He'll just put the jumper up and it bounces in and out. Good decision there by Cox. Didn't get the result he wanted. And as you see, the defense chant, and it's also on your screen right now here in game number 2. There's Story. And that one is no good. Was maybe thinking he was a little bit hot. Not quite, as he couldn't hit that one. Speaking of hit, Hurricanes could hit that one. Johnson now quickly, 1-on-2, sends it over the corner to Bird, but well defended there by the Hurricanes. He's unable to put that big three up. Now they'll go an entry pass here to Mitchell, and a little bit of contact on Cox, nothing called, and it just goes down for the bucket and makes it 42-39. Cox will swing it to Bowen. Clydescales, 2:34 left to go here in the second quarter. Tipped out of bounds there by the Miracles. It will stay with the Hurricanes, but they have a short clock to work with. 7 to shoot, 2.5 left.
The big man is playing right now, number 33, Tim Mitchell. Was able to go to work on Anthony Cox on one hand offensively, and defensively was able to swat that shot, that attempt out of bounds. So it looks like he's all fired up. That rest did him well. I'm not sure if he was hurt, but he doesn't look hurt right now.
Clydescales hands the ball to Mitchell, quickly up to Johnson, and nice hustle there by Watson. That's
very
swatted out
nonchalant.
of bounds and prevent that scoring chance.
Very nonchalant in transition was Melvin Johnson III. He probably thought he had more time to corral that run out and throw it down with ease, but Tyrone Watson's never going to give up on a play, and he did an outstanding job of getting back and knocking it out of bounds and not giving up that easy opportunity when the Miracles had the numbers with the 2-on-1 after the turnover.
So we have a timeout on the floor here in game number 2 from the Scotiabank Center here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Moncton Miracles leading by a score of 42-39. And it was definitely a better first quarter for the Moncton Miracles, probably even better than what they did there on Friday night. It almost looked similar, and they've been able to hold that lead, but this is the thing. This is where they sort of lost this game, was second quarter and the third quarter on Friday night, hoping here to go in and have something positive to go into the dressing room. As we take a look at some of the crowd here, it's I think a little bit of the weather has a lot to do with it. Not really a big
that
crowd
kid's
here
having
this
a good
afternoon.
time right now.
Yeah.
He's showing off the dance moves. I think most of the kids in the arena are not looking to try to match his dance moves as they're getting some time. Now he's really out of his seat. Swish trying to get in part of the action. But I think the camera basically needs to take focus on this one kid doing his thing.
Yeah.
You might get a little viral. Look at checking him out from here now. They're just panning back to him, getting away from the action. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Miracles doing a better job in the second quarter than they did in game number 1 in that second quarter. Part of the separation for Halifax was in that second quarter, in particular the shooting from beyond the arc by Taquan Zimmerman, who went 5 for 7 in that first 24 minutes and was the difference and was definitely the player of the game for Halifax in game number 1. But not this afternoon. The Miracles have done a pretty good job defensively, and they've taken care of the basketball, and they not allow Halifax to get into the transition game where they're getting those easy runouts and they're getting the opportunity to move the basketball, give it to the wide open person who has the wide open shot. So this afternoon, they've done a better job defensively, and it's showing on the scoreboard.
Miracles could David inbound the ball. There was a foul there by Dixon, and that sends Mitchell to the line for free throws here. And he sinks the first one. It makes it 43-39. Mitchell 3 of 5, making 4 of 6 there. And it's a 5-point game. A little careless foul there by the Hurricanes. And Mitchell makes it pay as he knocks down 2 there from the stripe as we're coming up to 2 left to go. Here till halftime. Clay Scales, Lucius. Dixon comes up and sets a pick. Now he'll get the ball, puts up the 3. Yes, sir. Two-man game, as you'd say. And a 3 there by Ronaldo Dixon.
Yeah, Ronaldo wide open jump shot from distance.
Here it
He's
is.
2 for 2 from that distance. But it was all on the strength of Clint Scales, moving the basketball, forcing the defense to play him in the paint, and a wide open jumper for Ronaldo.
Once again, that low look behind the back.
Oh, yes. Beautiful.
And Dixon puts it in for Clay Scales.
Going to work on Tim Mitchell now. Inside, outside, in consecutive possessions. The big man, Ronaldo Dixon, getting it done.
44-44 with 80 seconds left to go till halftime. Bird guarded there by White. And now on the change, it's Dixon now. Shot clock at 5. And another foul against Ronaldo Dixon called by Dave McGrattan. So there'll be
Halifax
free
foul
throws
on
coming
Dixon,
up here.
His second.
And Bird to the line.
Yeah, good decision
Russell
by
Bird,
Bird,
the
though,
line,
but
shooting
you
2.
got to give Dixon a hand here, running Bird off that three-point line.
Bird
The quicker man, though.
Bird 2 of 2 from the line. And we'll make it 3 of 3. And we'll give the Miracles a 1-point lead.
Good decision by Bird to attack the rim on Dixon. Dixon, a good defender around the rim. Struggles a little bit to guard guys in open space. And that possession there had some difficulties trying to keep up with Russell Bird.
Hurricanes go 2 for 1. They're here to close out the second quarter and the first half as we come up to 1 to go here in the second frame. White calls out a play. Mason over Bird, and that's too strong. And going up was Johnson III to come up with the ball with 46 seconds left to go. Johnson now rattles out, and White right there. A little bit of contact with Johnson as Bokecki calls his players to get back on D. White blocking foul, and he'll go to the line.
And Melvin Johnson III
Miracles
struggling
foul
this
on
afternoon
Russell
thus
Bird.
far for the
His
Miracles.
first.
2 for
Billy
8,
White at
1
the
of
line.
4 from beyond the arc with 5 points.
Chance
Leader
here.
in points this season with 19, so he's got to be better if they have any opportunity or any chance of winning this game.
Chance here to tie with 3 throws. I'll take that first one there. 36 seconds left to go. White from the stripe. 2 of 2. Timeout called. 36 seconds exactly left to go till halftime.
And that's
46,
surprising.
46, yeah.
That's surprising. That's Billy's first 2 points on the afternoon. Struggling a little bit, 0 for 3 from the field, not getting as many looks as he's accustomed to getting in the first 24 minutes. You're used to seeing Billy go to work inside and outside, in particular in their half-court sets, but you got to give credit to Moncton. They've done a good job of taking the key components, the key cogs of the Halifax Hurricanes thus far in this first 24 minutes, and that's the bigs. C.J. Washington struggling to find his offense. He's 2 for 8 from the field. But he's got 10 points. Most of the points coming from the free throw line as he's perfect, 6 for 6. And then you got Billy, who's struggling, as I mentioned, 0 for 3 from the field with 2 points. But Ronaldo Dixon, the big man, coming off the bench there, providing that offensive spark. And like I said, if there's any advantage in this series between these 2 teams, it's definitely the bigs for the Hurricanes versus the bigs for the Miracles. And basically they only have 2 bigs, and they only run with 2 bigs at any given time, and that's Theo Davis and Tim Thomas. So Ronaldo providing that offensive spark, 2 for 2 from 3-point range with 8 points, and he's perfect from the field, 3 for 3.
And as you can see here, the crowd's sure to get into it here in the later stages of this second quarter of a 46-46 basketball game, game number 2 of the Scotiabank Center on a Sunday afternoon. A drizzly wet one there, but not a bad crowd. Not probably the capacity that they were kind of hoping here for playoff basketball. As we're back underway, Lucius fouled there by Clay Scales. 3 throws coming up.
Yeah, Lucius has been very quiet this afternoon. He's 0 for 3 from the field, no points.
Hurricane
So he'll go to the
foul
line
on Clink
and get his
Scales,
first 2
his
buckets.
Mike Scales with his first, as you heard there from Chris Lydon. Well, now he'll go to the stripe. Lucius, 75.8% in the regular season. And that rattles around and goes down. 30.4 seconds left, as you see, as we take a good close look there at Lucius. 3 of 5 from the field, as Vince mentioned, there for 10 points Friday night. And also 2 of 2 from downtown. 32 minutes he played. 4 seconds difference between the game clock and the shot clock. No fouls to give, as we've been in the penalty since about the 5-minute mark here of this second quarter. Clink Scales on the drive and can't get it to go down, but he'll go to the free throw line.
Miracles
And he'll go
foul
for a
on
little
Corey
bit of a
Lucius, his
strut
first.
down to his own side of half court before throwing these 2 free throws. 6.9
Clink Scales
ticks
at
left
the
to go,
line.
but doing what your team captain does.
Yeah.
You want it in his hand here at this crucial stage
Timeout,
here
Halifax.
of
You're right.
the first half.
Absolutely, he's been very good, and he's been very good thus far in these first 2 games. Clink has been outstanding offensively. He's been 2 for 3 from the field. He's got 5 points. Not turning the basketball over. Had a couple of miscues in the first
Halifax Hurricanes
quarter,
wanna thank
but
our
he's
good
right the ship,
friend
just
Lisa.
like game
Took some
number
time
1.
off from the provincial
Ended up with
campaign
8
today to
assists
bring her
on the
young
night.
daughters,
And
Marina
right now
and
he's got
Larissa
2
to the
assists
game
thus
to
far,
enjoy
but
a
he's
little
taking
playoff
command of this
basketball.
team,
Thanks
and
for
that's
coming
what
out, guys.
Halifax needs. When things go off the rails a little bit and Moncton pushes back and gets their run, Clink Scales is there to step up and save this team and put the team on his back, and that was an outstanding job in this possession here, getting to the rim and forcing a foul and give himself an opportunity to knock down some free throws and try to take the lead here going into the halftime break.
47 to 46, and so as we mentioned, a timeout on the floor, and this is probably taken here to freeze here. Clink Scales, whose free throw shooting has improved. We've seen it so much throughout the last 2 seasons that we've worked together.
Right.
Improve every year after every
Oh, yeah.
year, and
All the percentages shooting-wise have improved.
76.9 here in the 40 games of the regular season.
The three-point shooting not as sparkling as it was last year,
Yeah, exactly.
but down the stretch in the latter part of this season, in the second half of the season, it's gotten better and more consistent. He's knocked down some big shots and some big moments, have won some games here for Halifax, either distributing the basketball or knocking down timely shots down the stretch.
Things start to quiet down here as the first of 2 from Clink Scales is on its way and down. Joey Haywood comes and pats him on the shoulder here. So see what the Moncton Miracles here do here after this second free throw. Johnson now strutting down there because they're going to have to go do the big long pass up ahead to try to get it. And after hesitating, finally goes down here, so they're quickly going to try to get a shot here. No fouls to give. Bird now back out to Lucius for 3. No, is it short
The
rimmed,
end of
and
the first
Mitchell
half.
there
The
couldn't get
Moncton
the second
Miracles
chance opportunity as the
47,
horn
your
goes to
Hurricanes
end
pulling
the
ahead,
first
and we
half
ain't
here
looking
from the
back.
Scotiabank Center.
48.
And it's almost like the Daytona 500. It's not, they spent most of that quarter pretty well being down. They had a little bit of lead changes back and forth, the Halifax Hurricanes. But after 24 minutes of play, they have the lead, but it's only a 1-point lead, 48 to 47.
Yeah, good play down the stretch there by Halifax, able to close out defensively, not give up that 3-point shot at the buzzer. But offensively, did a good job at the latter part of that second quarter. But the defense is starting to step up. These guys are starting to step up in the reserve roles, and this is the reason why they have this 1-point lead, as their main guys are not playing as efficient as they would like. But you look to see both teams make adjustments and continue to make adjustments throughout this game, and the second half should be a dandy.
And speaking of the second half, we'll be back in about 14 minutes with that. And in just a couple of moments, we're going to take a look and see what's going on, because we're not the only game taking part here this afternoon. 2 other NBL Canada games, playoff action underway. So we're going to take a little bit of a breather. I'll be back here and get you up to date on what's going on at the other basketball games. You're watching NBL Canada on YouTube. to be that because they're not shooting very well from the field, 36%.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, and only 27% from three-point range, 311 on the backside of Moncton. They're shooting 41%, 5 for 12 from that distance. But they're sticking around with key components. The statistic that they're sticking around with is the free throw shooting. They're 17 for 20 from the free throw line, and they've done a good job in that regard.
Miracles with the ball start the second half, and that's
CJ
knocked out of the way
Washington
there
saves.
by CJ
Nene.
Washington.
And that's the type of defense that they need to be. They need to come with that type of effort defensively. That needs to be done on every single possession. And it's only one possession at a time. If they're going to try to get some separation in this third quarter, they got to step up defensively.
Bird, who's the high man so far, 12 points, has the ball there for the Miracles, hands it off. Johnson the third for three. No, he had an open look. One of the players from the Hurricanes actually hit the dirt and was left Johnson wide open, but he was unable to stick it. Here is Clay Scales, guarded there by Johnson the third as we pass 30 seconds gone here in the third. Watson, Washington in the corner, shot clock at 9. Clink Scales swings it over to the other side. Clock at 4. Watson drives, gonna probably run out of time. And it is a shot clock violation as he was unaware that the clock was winding down. So it's a turnover and Miracles basketball. Pretty well almost like a repeat of the start they had of the game. A turnover there for the Hurricanes. Here's the Miracles story. Having a little bit of a quiet afternoon is Malik Story with only 7 points, 3 of 4. He'll put that one up, and that's no good. White volleys it there to Mason, who crosses the timeline with speed. To White as they'll have nice ball movement. Jumper there over Mitchell. Doesn't go, and the strong side rebound there by Bird.
Yeah, that jump shot's going to be there all afternoon for Tyrone Watson. Mitchell's not going to go all the way out. He's going to force Watson to knock down that mid-range game. Most of Watson's points have come inside the paint. Good defensive play there by the Hurricanes. So both teams having a sloppy start here in this third quarter.
Yeah, Mitchell with the butterfingers. Mason!
And
That rights the ship. That rights the ship right there. Good stroke by Mason knocking down that triple. He struggled in this series thus far, and that's his 4th point on the afternoon and his first field goal.
And you mentioned earlier, he only had 5 points in game number 1, 17 minutes Friday night. John Hunt calls the play before Lucius was able to fly by Washington.
Yeah, battle ensued between
Hurricane
Mitchell
foul.
and Mason off the ball.
Antoine Mason.
Mason was trying to guard
Mason's
Mitchell
first
off
team
that
foul
pick and
on
roll.
number 1.
And Mitchell gave him a little bit of the business, knocked him in the back of the head, but Mason gets called for the hold.
Mason with his first personal foul here this afternoon. It's the first here for the Hurricanes in the third quarter. Spinning was Mitchell, and he's going to go to the line, and for Washington, that will be his 4th.
Well, I tell you, for whatever reason, whatever adjustment Coach Paul McKeskey made in regards
Hurricane
to the
foul
first
on
10
CJ
games
Washington,
that these
his
two
4th.
teams played, in this
foul,
game,
number
in
2.
game 11, they're making an assertive effort to get Tim Mitchell be part of this offense. They're making an assertive effort to have him out on the floor and be active in their half-court offense, which is good because they're right there.
They're not really relying on the 3 as much because the 3, like, you can't, if you live to die on the 3, that's
going to
hasn't
sink
worked
you.
for them in the regular season.
That's
so
going to
it's
sink
like,
you.
and now, of
Absolutely.
course, you could, all of a sudden, Washington has 4 fouls on him. So now, all of a sudden, the one-on-one's down low a little bit later.
That battle, we talked about it. If there was a thing that that separates these two teams, is definitely the big play. The bigs, definitely the advantage goes to Halifax, and a good outstanding defensive play there by Billy. Not happy about the push-off by Tim Mitchell, and they're having
Mitchell.
words, and a crowd gathers.
Yeah,
And Mitchell's not happy at all.
Mitchell White have to be broken up there by Paul Hansen, and man, if Bokeski had to come in on that would have. He is a big man, and when he gets in between bodies, there's a lot of separation.
Yeah, he leaped up off of that bench quickly. He's right back
Miracles
in the
foul
ear
on
of the
number
officials
33,
once again.
Mitchell.
Clay Scales with the ball, 9:40 left to go, and all of a sudden the referee's getting a little bit of a workout as the whistle has been blowing to plenty here in the third.
Yeah, this has been a relatively tame series thus far between these two teams. I don't see a lot of bad blood between these two teams
Another
as they
personal foul on
have
Miracles
definitely
number
respect
33.
for each other. But
Now, his
that particular
third team foul, number
melee
2.
ensued underneath the basket wasn't a good
Mason
one.
right there off the window and one.
Mason being aggressive, getting back to his type of
Miracles
games,
foul
his
on
style
number
of game. Now
7,
he's got some
Malik
interesting
Story,
socks on
his
right
second
now.
team
Sonic
foul,
the
number
Hedgehog.
3.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are pretty cool socks. You can see in the replay there just a blur, but he's got some pretty cool socks.
Mason
Antoine
trying to make it a
Mason is
three-point
sporting this
play.
afternoon.
Yeah, the
Maybe this is a spark that he needs to get his game going.
follow up on the replay. It was a matter of Mason being at the right place, right time, as Watson lost the handle, and he took advantage of it. Oh, the no-look pass once again by Klink, and Cox unable to finish.
Gotta have that. Gotta have that. Beautiful dish. No look pass between the bodies by Clint Scales. A wide open layup for Cox. I think he got caught in between of thinking what he wanted to do with it. Whether he wanted to lay it up or slam it or throw it down with the one-handed hammer. But either way, he's got to finish at the rim.
And a little bit of contact there. Going to be Story, and then Mitchell came
Miracles
over
foul
after the
on
whistle.
Malik Story, his third team
Mason
foul,
continuing
number
to be
4.
very aggressive offensively. As I
And
mentioned in
Mason
that
at the
first
line,
quarter, he's been
shooting
very
the
good
deuce.
in his rookie campaign, averaging 14 points a game.
Mason 1 of 3 so far at the line. That's the 4th team foul already there for the Miracles. But with playoff basketball, we really shouldn't be too surprised that we were like that free throws may be coming pretty early here in the quarters, because we've seen that last year during the run that the Hurricanes had last year, Vince.
Yeah, being aggressive and attacking the rim and not settling for jump shots, taking them when they get them on the dribble drive penetration, but you're taking what the defense gives you.
Russell
Nice
Bird.
possession there.
Yes.
Nice cut without the basketball was Russell Bird.
Yeah, there was no man's land. Could have ran across the street, got a chocolate bar, come back before laying it up. He was that wide open. 55 to 50, 8:55 left here in the third quarter. Jumper by Cox rattles in and out, and Bird comes up with the ball, and Watson was going to try to tie it up, but was unable to. It was going to be called
Second
for the loose
personal
ball
on
foul.
Tyrone
I know
Watson,
Anthony
team
Cox
foul
can knock
number
down that
3.
jump shot, but you're bailing the defense out, in particularly the individual defense and Tim Mitchell. I'd like to see Cox maybe back down Tim Mitchell and make him go to work defensively and try to force him to come up with a stop that way, then settling for that mid-range jumper.
So second against Watson. In the meantime, Hurricanes coming back, getting a shoulder in on White was Mitchell, turns it over, Cox now! Oh, it was gonna be showtime, but he lost a handle and fouled. And now he'll go to the line.
Yeah, not giving up that easy bucket in
Mike's-
transition was Malik
Miracles
Story.
foul
But,
on
Scales
Malik
wants fans to make
Story.
noise.
but whatever
fourth
happened between
team foul,
Mitchell
number
and
5.
White has woken the sleeping dragon and
Theo
Billy
Davis,
White. Outstanding
captain.
defensive play individually on the baseline as he was able to knock that ball away from Tim Mitchell, and they were off to the races in transition. But Malik Story wasn't having it with that
Anthony
easy
Cox
deuce
at the
at the
line,
goal as he
shooting
forced
two.
Anthony Cox to knock down a couple free throws here, and that's playoff basketball right there.
Story with his 4th, Cox to the line, 5 of 6 this afternoon. Make it 6 of 7. Cox having a pretty good bounce back. He was only had like 2 points, 16 minutes in game number 1. He's up to 8 already, and makes it 9.
Yeah, the reserves have played well this afternoon for the Hurricanes. Ronaldo Dixon had 8 in the first 24 minutes. He was 3 for 3 from the field, 2 for 2 from beyond the arc. So the reserves have played a key role in this lead thus far in this game number 2.
Mike Scales not happy about the
Halifax
call, and he
foul
walks away
on
from the
Cliff
officials
Scales, his second
towards center
team
court
foul,
area,
number
and
4,
here he is on your
Elvin
screen
Johnson
right
at the
now.
line.
Not happy with the call. In the meantime, 3 throws coming up for Melvin Johnson III. Clink Scales his second, the 4th team foul. And as I mentioned earlier here, the fouls are coming aplenty here in the 3rd. So later on, we'll see a lot of free throws. As Johnson gets that one to sink, it's 57 to 51, 8:16 left to go. Game number 3 of the series, Wednesday at the Moncton Coliseum. One of these teams trying to make it even at 1-1. and the other one trying to take a commanding 2-0 lead. And right now, the home team up by 2 possessions, 57 to 51. And kind of lucky to be, as they're shooting from the field, has not been that great.
Anthony Cox!
Yeah, no answer right now. The bigs for the Miracles. Mitchell struggled a little bit to stay with Anthony Cox.
Miracles
Cox had a little
foul
bit
on
difficulty
Theo
making
Davis,
decisions
his
at the
fifth
rim, but he
team
made
foul,
no
number
mistake
6.
with this finish through the contact, but a beautiful no-look pass through a sea of hands by Clint Scales. Clint Scales breaking down the defense, and that's the adjustment that head coach Paul McKeskey needs to make in this timeout. He has no choice, as he's seen enough, as they have to make some major adjustments as Halifax are on their way now to getting into a double-digit lead.
Well, the game plan, according to Matt Robertson, the assistant coach, as I mentioned earlier, was talking to him, was attempt to keep their bigs off the glass, and it hasn't been successful now. And all of a sudden, that's why the Hurricanes are starting to run off with a little bit of a cushioning, a little bit of a lead, because they led coming into this second half by 1, and now they are up by 8, and a chance here to make it 9 after the free throw here by Cox, and that's caused the timeout. But you got to give Cox credit, because all of a sudden you knew that you said that Billy White was off his game. C.J. Washington, a little bit of foul trouble. So Cox is coming to play, and now if he could sink that free throw, he'll be double-digit in points.
Yeah, it's a beautiful luxury to have your head coach Mike Leslie. You got 4 guys that play those key roles in the number 4 and the number 5 position. That's the power forward position and the center position. When you got your starters, you got Billy White and C.J. Washington. Those guys, you know they're going to have terrific nights on most nights. But then you have the reserves and Ronaldo Dixon and Anthony Cox. Ronaldo, a great rim protector, a great outstanding defender. He can also knock down the 3 balls, shooting over 40% from that range. And he's displayed it this afternoon, 2 for 2 from that distance. As we mentioned several times, 8 points on the afternoon. And then you got Anthony Cox. Now he's the wild card. That guy's the wild card because he brings a lot of energy. He can defend, and he can also score the basketball at the goal. So he's been displaying that this afternoon. He's got 11 points thus far, trying to make it 12, and he's could have had easily 14 if he didn't blow that layup by Clint Scales with that nice, beautiful assist. But nevertheless, you got to be happy if you're Coach Mike Leslie out of your big play.
And the thing is that you've talked a lot about how strong this Hurricane team is, like in terms of reserves. Let's talk about the Moncton Miracles. Jati hasn't played here, Wong hasn't been in, and of course Gatali not in. So that's 9 players that McKeskey's going with here this afternoon. So not really, and sometimes when teams come here and play with 9, that really doesn't bode very well.
It's not. You're right.
Sure.
You're right. It's not a recipe for success. That's for sure. Unless you're the Cape Breton Highlanders, probably one of the only teams in this league able to come in here and win back-to-back games with a shortened bench.
7:44 left to go. Foul called. Gets Mason his second, the 15th foul. Johnson to the line, and short ribs the first one, and that won't fall.
Yeah, Melvin Johnson III is definitely off his game this afternoon.
Got 6 points there, as you mentioned. And
struggling, 2 for 10 from the field. He's got to be better this second half.
He'll go 1 of 2 from the line, and that's what he was from the line. So now make it 2 of 4. And an 8-point game, 60 to 52, 7:38 left here in the third quarter. Clegg Scales driving, and he can have a chance to knock 2 from the free throw line.
Miracles
as he was fouled on the drive.
Outstanding hesitation off that dribble drive by Clint Scales. Continue to be very aggressive offensively, making all the right decisions thus far in this third quarter for the Hurricanes.
Bird with the foul is second. You can tell there's some Moncton fans in the crowd as they're starting to get that horn going, trying to distract the team captain, but it doesn't phase him one bit as he now goes 4 of 5 from the line for 8 points. A chance here to make it double digits with this one. 7:35 left. It does. So all of a sudden now the Miracles have to pull up their socks here, looking at the possibility of going down 2-0, and Beatty says, nah, no big deal. I'll just come back and shoot the long distance 2.
Yeah, Beatty's been very good. Tydren this afternoon, one of the sparks, the bright spots for the Miracles. Got 11 on the afternoon, 5 for 8 from the field.
And Hurricanes starting to heat up as Mason hits the corner three.
I like that. I like seeing Mason knock down those threes. He's got his stroke going in this third quarter. His game is starting to pick it up now.
Beatty trying to go back-to-back, but he's short on that one, and White with the weak side rebound quickly into the hands of Clake Scales. Clake Scales going end-to-end. Oh, too strong off the glass. And Cox.
Yeah, he's in a lot of physical trouble right now.
Yeah, he looks like he pulled a hamstring or something.
High
And in the meantime, play
roll,
continues on, and now
and
the hoop and the harm, as you hear Lyden say.
Yeah, easy basket there. Good matchup for the Hurricanes. Watson versus Melvin Johnson III, and Watson's going to win that battle 10 times out of 10, just based on the physicalities and the way and how close he is to the rim.
Washington coming in, and I imagine he's going to replace
Miracles
Cox.
foul on Melvin Johnson.
He seems to.
His first.
Yeah, looked like he came down awkwardly.
Yeah.
Watson hits the line.
Gotta like these new uniforms though, sported by the Halifax Hurricanes to start this playoff run, this back-to-back campaign. Looks like it's been sponsored by or bought by Nike, and Tyrone Watson looks like a superhero in that uniform right now.
Bird denied by White.
Yeah, get that
Back
garbage out of there.
Yeah, Purdy had a chance for three, couldn't hit, and the Hurricanes 3-on-1 the other way, the alley-oop, but Washington wasn't ready for it. Spins over the key and scores.
Cleans it up. McKeskey needs a timeout now to right the ship, to make some adjustments. Things are starting to come undone here for the Miracles.
Once again, the third quarter, which hurt them on Friday, starting to rear its ugly head once again.
Yeah, Melvin Johnson III not happy.
Pardon me, sorry, Vince.
Not happy at all. Things are coming undone, Dan, as you mentioned. I mean, right now, if I'm head coach McKeskey, I would definitely need to call a timeout here, but I think he's waiting for the under 8 minute or the under 6 minute media timeout, excuse me.
Well, he's moments away from it. White.
Billy.
Maybe too late. Maybe too late here.
72 to 54.
Another turnover by the Miracles. So things went from worse to even more complicated for them.
Yeah, the hate meter.
Hey, Halifax, did you notice your boys are up by 20?
Yeah.
Give it up for your Hurricanes.
20-point lead. Mason, 25-6 run for the Hurricanes. Inexcusable. You got to call a timeout when it's a 10-0 run. You can't wait till it's a double-digit run. It's 19-point run right now for the Hurricanes. A 20-point lead, a very comfortable lead after a plethora of easy shots and opportunities in transition, some dunks, some alley-oops, some wide open three balls, you name it. You got it all in that first 6 minutes of this third quarter. And this is why they're against it right now. Not sure what type of adjustments they're going to make, the Miracles that is, but if it's anything, it's got to come on the defensive side. They can't afford to turn the basketball over as they're getting killed up with the points off of turnovers. It's jumped to double digits now, 19-8.
It just seemed like all of a sudden what made them successful, they got away from.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, the Hurricanes are a team that they take advantage of the other team's misses and they transition that into offense. And
yes, sir.
That's how come their offense is as strong as it can be.
Yes, sir.
As on the team misses. So when they start missing, all of a sudden it's game on for the Hurricanes, and that's got them with a 20-point lead.
Well, we both mentioned it
this afternoon.
We both mentioned it at the top of the broadcast. You know, the one and dones and the easy transition buckets, they were able to limit those things in the first 24 minutes, the Miracles that is. But thus far in the first 6 minutes of this third quarter, they've haven't been able to eliminate anything Halifax has been doing offensively and defensively.
And they have 17 fouls, so things not good. Ooh, there was a big collision there as Tate and Mason.
Mason almost came out with that turnover there. He almost picked the pocket of Tyrone Tate. A little bit too much body though, but a good hand to try to swipe it away.
And they almost got like into a figure four with each other there on the floor here at the Scotiabank Center. 5:37 left to go. Here's Corey Lucius. Tried to get it into Tate. Has a little bit out of his reach. Quickly up to Mason and bucket on the long lead pass.
There you see the difference in the type of game right now. You had one team with an opportunity with an easy bucket, an errant pass, a turnover back the other way, and then you have the other team that makes a great decision with a good ball handler, able to make an outstanding pass, a stretch pass in transition, and an easy bucket at the other end.
Not sure if our cameras caught it, Vince, but Beatty thought he was fouled. They kept possession of the ball. Bird for three. That's short.
Got to have that three
Loose
ball.
ball. Watson back to Clinkscales now, who puts on the Jets. Swings over the corner to Mason.
Why
over
not?
Tate for three.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, sir. Rattles around like a hula hoop band in.
Why not? He's on fire in this quarter. He's got 14 now. Excuse me. He's got 15. Mason is. That three ball makes it 15, and he's been outstanding in this third quarter.
Billy White about to get it on the shoe. It's a long distance two.
For two.
And things really coming off the tracks now. 27-point game.
Halifax looking to take a stranglehold on this series and head back to Moncton to try to close this one out.
And the thing is, you got to still keep pedal to the metal because you don't want to give them
Oh, yeah.
anything for game number 3.
Lots of basketball left. Lots of basketball left in
that's
this
for
one. You
sure.
got 4:29 in the
Hurricane
third,
foul
and you got a
on
whole
Billy White,
fourth quarter of
his
12
second.
minutes. So lots of
Team foul
basketball.
number
There's lots of
7,
resolve that
Malik
could
Story
be
and
done
Tim Mitchell tap in
for the Miracles,
Halifax.
but right now it doesn't look good. It looks very
Dixon
bleak.
and Joey
A lot of heads down
Haywood
heading towards
in
the bench for the
good
Miracles.
guys.
Story and Mitchell return to the floor here for the Miracles. As
Terrell
Tate
Tate
will
at the
go
line,
to
shooting
the
2
line.
for Moncton.
Tate 2 of 2 tonight with 2 points. Tate in the regular season, he's their best free throw shooter at 80.8%. Knock it down to make it 81-55. And he'll sink that one, and it's things have really come off the rails. A bad third quarter Friday night here in game number 1.
Well, I tell you what, I think it was that melee between Billy White and Tim Mitchell that put a spark
Mason
in Halifax, and they just came out like a house on fire in this third quarter ever since those two guys tied up.
Well, they're starting to play a little bit of volleyball, so right now, and finally the Miracles will come up with it and
Got
have
numbers.
a 3-on-2 the other way.
Got
And
numbers.
Tate will have 3 throws to coming up here as he's
Hurricane
fouled.
foul on Billy
You better
White.
knock down these
His
free
third.
throws because Russell Bird is not happy with that decision. A
Aaron
3-on-1
Bowen
back the
taps
other
in.
way.
Terrell Tate
Tate
hits the
attacking the
line,
rim.
shooting
Russell
2.
Bird was standing wide open to his right, looking for that opportunity to knock down a 3-ball.
You can tell.
He's still shaking his head right now, Russell Bird is.
Exactly, it's a good point. It is that cameras might not have been able to see it, but shaking his head and really not happy with the play execution that time as Tate will knock it down and makes it 81-57.
So he does his job, knocks down both. At least they got something and it wasn't an empty trip.
Yeah. 81-58. Coming up to 4 left. Double team momentarily broke. And now Haywood has the ball being watched by Lucius. Haywood now put on the Jets, showing the handles once again with a shot clock at 10. Here is Mason, Tate on him. Clock winding down, 7 to shoot. Inside the paint, gets some separation. Too strong on that shot. And a loose ball foul on this going against
Hurricane
Washington,
foul
and that's his
on
5th.
C.J. Washington, his 5th.
And it's a 7th team foul. 3 throws the rest of the way for both teams, and both teams are in penalty.
Anthony Cox checks in. Tim Mitchell hits the line.
And Mitchell will head to the 3-throw line, 5 of 8 tonight. 9 points in total, 2 of 5 from the field. 3:42 left as we'll get that one to sink, and all of a sudden they're starting to push back, but not as quickly as they probably would like, but they're on a 5-0 run here.
It's going to be a process. They need one possession at a time if they're trying to get into this, but they got to make their free throws, that's for sure.
Well, they struggled from the 3-throw line in game number 1, 64%, and during the regular season they were 69%. 1 of 2 that trip. 3:28 left. Mason stops and then hands it over to Bowen outside the arc, pardon me. Shot clock at 4, Mason. Cox, wide open jumper, too strong. That's tapped there by Dixon, but he tapped it into the executive seats here at the Scotiabank Center, so it'll be Miracles basketball, 3:15 left.
I'm very impressed right now because Halifax is definitely getting after it when it comes to the offensive glass. It looks like every possession down on every missed shot, there's 2 or 3 guys battling with the Moncton Miracles inside that painted area. Either they're getting a hand on it. That possession there, the Miracles dodged a bullet because the last touch was by Halifax, but they didn't have great position in blocking out Halifax and keeping them off the glass.
Bowen called for the harm there.
Hurricane
Be his
foul
second.
on Mason.
And now Story to the line. First 3 throws of the night here for Malik Story,
Correction
7
on
points.
Bowen.
All his points have been from the
His
field.
second. Malik
Story,
at the line, attempting his second.
79.7% free throw shooter, 51 of 64. Sinks the first one. And it's 81-60 now. 3 to go. Third quarter. Haywood, end to end, off the window. Net doesn't go down. But a nice solid effort there by Haywood, the former SMU Husky product. Went end to end, but was a little bit too strong off the glass. Here is Tate, another Canadian inside. Beatty now, nice little one-hander, but it doesn't float and go down, and a second chance opportunity doesn't go for the Miracles. 2:35 left to go. Nice ball movement here by the Hurricanes, but they'll lose possession of it, go out of bounds, and
Timeout Halifax.
Halifax calls timeout, and Lucius was trying
Folks,
to catch
the winning number in
gap in
today's
there, trying to get a quick
50-50
inbound,
draw is a pink
but
ticket
timeout
with
called
the
here by
number
Mike Leslie, as all of a sudden things started to
400. If
come
you
back
have the
here
winning
to the
ticket, you've got
Miracles.
10
They
minutes
still
to
got a
take it to
long
the
way to
merchandise
go,
outlet on
but
the Arena
I
floor
mean,
to
big
claim
uphill
your prize.
Halifax
We're going to
is
have to
stuck
draw
at
another
81
number.
for
That
quite
winning
a
number
while,
again is pink
and,
ticket
the
number
Miracles have a little bit of run here.
333
Yeah, good timeout to calm things down. You got your reserves in right now. You got most of your starters not in. The reserves trying to find their common ground, trying to catch their stride and get some camaraderie. But good quality minutes here for those reserves. Has done a good job thus far for Coach Mike Leslie and the Halifax Hurricanes. Now on the other side, you're the Miracles. You just got to be thinking one possession at a time, one defensive stop at a time, one good offensive possession at a time. Get some quality looks, keep attacking the rim, keep trying to stay with the process. Don't get away from what you've been doing. You've pretty much been able to stay with this team in the first 24 minutes. Things got away in the first 6 minutes of this third quarter, but there's still lots of time left. But you got to play one possession at a time. For Halifax, like I mentioned, the reserves just trying to find their way. They're trying to find some common ground here. But the last few shots that they had and opportunities at the goal, uncommon to see Joey Haywood blow a wide open layup like that. But I know Joey, he's going to continue to attack the rim, and he's going to continue to be a problem. And I bet you he doesn't miss the same shot twice.
81-61, back underway here with less than 2.5 to go here in the third quarter. A dominant third quarter, and I'd be interested to see the stats as Cox will lay it up with a nice little finger roll it in and makes it 83-61. They've been stuck at 81 for quite a while, so that gives them a relief.
Now, outstanding decision there in transition by Ronaldo. Had the opportunity on the baseline to take the shot himself.
And Terrell Tate comes up with a bucket. That will give him 8. And he had a pretty quiet Friday night with only 5 points, 8 this afternoon so far. And we still have 1:45 left to go to the third. Taquan Zimmerman, he was hot from 3 land. They haven't needed his 3 ball here this afternoon. Dixon, back out, Cox, clock at 4. He's gonna have to put it up. Hook shot, that don't go. And Miracles coming up with the stop that they need. They just need a few more. In the meantime, driving.
Yeah, tough
and it's,
call.
that, as you mentioned, is a tough call.
Double dribble there on Malik Story. You usually don't see that in basketball too often these days, that double dribble. Not getting away with it, Malik Story. Missed opportunity in transition, as you mentioned, to get back into this. And Melvin Johnson III checks back. And he's having words with somebody in the crowd.
Melvin
Johnson III having a tough afternoon. Averaging 19 points a game for the Miracles. Only twice he's been held to single digits. One, he had 8 against here against the Halifax Hurricanes, and the other one came against the London Lightning.
And he was under double digits there Friday with only 8.
So having a
Kryptonite.
very
Yeah,
terrible,
kryptonite.
having a terrible series thus far for Melvin Johnson III. We mentioned it several times. He has to be very good. He's got to be outstanding if Moncton has any opportunity of winning this series.
Second chance opportunity there, and they didn't get a lot of those Friday, but they've got more here in this one. But the score doesn't really result that, as they're going to be going to the free throw line. Is Mitchell on the tough take?
Tim Mitchell at the line.
48 seconds left to go, and Cox called for his third personal. Mitchell from the stripe here tonight is 2 of 4. 48 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. And only 12 minutes left here to possibly the Hurricanes taking a 2-0 lead here in this best-of-5 series. There's an offensive foul. This will go against Cox as he had that moving screen. And that's a pretty easy one to call there by Dave McGrath.
On Anthony Cox, his 4th personal.
Seconds left to go here in the third. So 1 for 1 these teams can go here. Tate with the ball. And they're trying to set a screen up for Tate. Now Tate will just take it towards the rim and puts it up and in. A nice bit of patience and a nice look here by Terrell Tate, the Canadian.
He's been very aggressive offensively since coming off the bench in this third quarter.
83-65. No fouls to give. We've been pretty well been at that point halfway through this quarter here. Cox, he lost the handle there when he was wide open, but he got a sucky chance, but it allowed the defender to get over. In the meantime, the shot is no good, and the first run up by the Miracles.
Hurricanes
83-65 after 36 minutes of play here at the Scotiabank Center on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
And
very
once
good.
again, the third quarter, the Achilles heel for the Moncton Miracles.
Oh yeah, it definitely killed them. The Hurricanes came out with a sense of urgency. They knew that they didn't want to go back to Moncton in game number 3, tied 1 game apiece. So they made an assertive effort to be aggressive offensively. They made an assertive effort to be aggressive defensively. And this has been, the translation into what has happened with the 18-point lead starting in the fourth quarter. We take a quick look at why they're leading by 18 points. It was the play of Antoine Mason. Antoine Mason
Batman
had
and Robin?
14 points in
Nice.
that quarter. He's standing now 6-11 from the field.
Elmo
Had an
and
outstanding quarter.
Bernie and
they won the battles. The battles
remember
inside
his
the painted
name.
area.
Brit and
They're
Ernie?
doubling up
Ernie. Yeah.
on the Miracles, 34-18 in that particular category. And second chance
Mickey Minnie.
points, pretty much doubling up on them as well in that category. And
Beauty and the
points
Beast.
off of turnovers. Big factor this afternoon between these two teams. 23 points
Mario
for
and
the
Luigi.
Hurricanes compared to 10. 16 turnovers for the Miracles. Can't have that on the road if you're trying to steal a game in the playoffs. Halifax done an outstanding job of
Kermit
taking care of
and
the
Little Piggy,
basketball.
Miss
Their
Piggy.
leaders, as you mentioned several times, the general, Clint Scales, doing an outstanding job of taking
Salt and
care of the
pepper.
basketball, not turning it over, making great decisions in transition, making outstanding decisions, even better decisions
I
in their
can't hear you.
half-court sets, finding their bigs with the
Mary
dribble
Kay and Ashley.
penetration, drawing the double teams, and hitting the open man. So you take all those particular categories along with the shooting, and the shooting has improved. As you mentioned, it was only 31% to start. The third quarter is up to 42% now.
And the shooting for Moncton.
Down at 37. So you look at those percentages, this is the reason why they got outscored 35-18. Halifax has a very comfortable lead, a commanding lead with lots of time left. But you can't be complacent if you're the Hurricanes. You got to continue to put your foot on the opponent's neck and finish them and go into game 3 up 2-0 and take a stranglehold in this series.
And there's been plenty of times that you and I have called games in the past. We've looked up at the score, and then next thing you know, like minutes later, 2-possession game, and the team has gotten back into it. So
Yeah, they
this
can't
is
have that in the
most
playoffs.
important fourth quarter here of the Moncton Miracles season on the way now. Zimmerman for three. Contact, was looking for a call there from McGrattan, had his arms out. In the meantime, the ball goes out of bounds. 14 seconds gone here in the fourth quarter. And a nice take here by Beatty.
That's a good start for the Miracles. And Beatty's been very good. Excuse me, Beatty. I've been told several times, I don't know if it's Beatty or Beatty, but how to announce his last name, but I'm going to go with Beatty. And I sometimes going to go with Hydrant, so that's probably the safer way.
Tate, and that's too strong. And
he's got to have that.
Comes up with the board.
Got to have that in transition, but even better, he's got to get back in defensive transition because Halifax had numbers. And it looks like a wholesale of changes coming now for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, full shift, as you'd say, the full five. And my PA announcing days, I'd hate when they do that, because you'd have to announce them all in the game, and the next thing you know, the team would come back and score, just like Story did there. By the time I got announcing all five players out onto the floor. 83-69, and we talked about it.
Lots of time left.
Some stops now, and now they're scoring. Cox! Oh, baby!
Through the contact. Beautiful two-man game. Outstanding patience by Taquan Zimmerman as he was able to draw the double team, split the defense. As you can see, split the defense there by Cox, an emphatic one-handed hammer.
His first team foul,
Beautiful pick and
one.
roll there between
Checking
Cox
in
and
for the
Zimmerman.
Hurricanes,
And Cox made no mistake on that finish at the rim.
Time to go get a sandwich, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure it has a little bit of peanut butter. And Cox brought the jam. 10:38 left.
Oh my goodness, did he ever. The one-handed hammer, and he finishes a three-point play. So Anthony Cox getting a lot of opportunities to score this afternoon. Usually not a go-to guy in their offensive sets, in particular in their half-court set, but because there's such a gap between the bigs for the Miracles and the Hurricanes, you have no choice. Whoever's playing the 4 or the 5 for the Canes, you got to give them the basketball.
Story lost the handle, but kept with it, was persistent, and gets the bucket. And White with a little bit of frustration as he tapped the ball in after the inbound. 86-71, Mason can't hit. And Washington keeps it alive in a new 24, nice hustle.
Outstanding hustle there. He's able to track down that 50-50 ball and beat Tim Mitchell to the punch.
And this is where they were pretty good in game number one, was the second chance opportunities. White from deep. Yes, sir.
That's a killer. That is an absolute killer. You had an opportunity at a 50-50 ball. It came down to who wanted it more. And C.J. Washington coming up with it, and Billy knocking down that triple.
Gives him a 9. Spinning and shooting was Beatty, and that didn't go. Mike Scales puts the brakes on now. Hesitates, drives off the window, and that's short. Once again, a second chance opportunity. White trying to go back-to-back trees.
Man,
not
he was
so.
way out. He was way out there. But another opportunity, that second chance. Washington just beating.
Nice
He had to give up that easy three. He's in foul difficulties, thinking like, man, I can't afford to pick up my 5th and go to the bench. The team needs me. I got to be in. It's only a 2 deuce, and it's not 20. It's not a 20-point that he's giving up. So he just surrendered that easy bucket.
White with the bucket going back. Says, okay, I'll go back inside. That's where I've been strong and been one of the top scorers from the field in the regular season. Gets the bucket, 91-73. So they're starting to counterpunch here. In the meantime, Mitchell fouled Aaron Washington with his hands up in the air. Is that going to be against him? We'll have to wait and see. And of course, you probably heard it before we did, is the public address.
Yeah, it's on Washington. That's his 6, actually, so he's got it here. So that's why CJ gave up that easy deuce. A tough afternoon for CJ Washington. Comes to an end.
Give it up for CJ.
He went 2 for 8 from the field, 10 points. He was outstanding from the free throw line, but he had some great stretches here when he did play in this fourth quarter where he had some offensive rebounds. So he did contribute.
Yeah, so now how important is this big lead now? Because all of a
Very
sudden,
important.
it was very important, because all of a sudden, if it's a 6-point game, I'm sure that this fans here at the Scotiabank Center, as well as Mike Leslie, and the rest of the Hurricanes would be pretty well be sitting on pins and needles.
Absolutely.
With their big man on the bench.
But the luxury, right? The luxury of having 4 bigs that you can rely on. And Anthony Cox has had an outstanding game. 17 points thus far. He's 9 for 10 from the free throw line, struggling a little bit from the field. Billy, another easy opportunity. And if you can get that guy going, then you can even more continue to put your foot on the opponent's neck.
And Tate now, and that will put him in the double figures as well with 12. Mitchell has 10, and all of a sudden Story and Beatty into double figures. And for the Hurricanes, Cox, White, Washington, who's now went to the bench with 6 fouls as Mason hits from downtown.
Lazy.
And now he's also into double figures.
Lazy, very lazy close out there by Melvin Johnson III. Wide open jumper from distance by Antoine Mason, who's been outstanding and very hot in this second half. You got to do a better job defensively if you're Melvin Johnson III.
Rattles around and goes down for Beatty. 96 to 78, 7:45 left to go as they go end to end here at the Scotiabank Center on a Sunday afternoon. White puts up the 3, no good. And the strong side rebound. Johnson quickly up to Beatty, one-on-one. Clinkscales thought it was all ball. Looks at Hansen. It says, oh my.
Yeah, I think he got robbed.
Yeah.
He definitely got robbed
He's
there.
not happy about it in the Scotiabank Center.
Take a look at the replay. You can see here, dribble drive, and yeah, it looked like he's lost the handle. It had to be the off guard that might have got a hand in there, but Clinkscales didn't even touch him. Didn't touch him, and he's repeating that sentiment to the head coach. Like, I didn't even touch him. I basically backed off him. He definitely has a case, Danny.
Oh, very much. It's like
basketball justice right there as he missed the first of 2.
Still explaining the story. You can see it there. Actually, not.
Yeah, he's definitely not taking it back.
Yeah, well,
maybe working for the next call.
I thought that we had a wide shot there of it, but he was still talking to Hansen saying he lost the ball.
Yeah, he definitely lost the handle there.
And I'm sure that probably Paul Hansen probably will, I'm not saying that they do like make-up calls type thing.
Oh, there's always make-up calls in all sports.
Yeah, but
trying to work for that next call, definitely.
Yeah.
He'd even told him, take a look. That's a mismatch defensively.
Flexing his muscles.
Too strong. Yeah, superhero is too strong. Watson is too strong for the other small forward of the Miracles.
Watson, who sat out the last 2 games on the Ontario road trip.
Yeah, injury. Had a lower body injury coming off of the IR as Tyrone Watson. But he's been outstanding, making his return here to Halifax
and
for the Hurricanes.
He'll join the double figure party as that will give him 10 along with Mason, Washington, White, and Cox. They had 5 players in double figures on Friday, 5 once again this afternoon. As Malik Story, who's also in double figures in points with a layup, 99 to 81, 6:53 left, but too easy as Mason gets that one.
Mason's got it going this afternoon. He's making the shots that we've been able to see all season long and struggled in game 1, but he's making up for it in this second half for sure.
Well, we start to turn into the All-Star game now as Watson playing up and in as they go end to end. I thought I usually take All-Star games off because it goes end to end like that.
Yeah, they can't afford to have these trading baskets are the Miracles. They need their defensive stops, and right now Halifax is getting every opportunity offensively that they want. In transition, in half court, in the mid-range, they're getting it.
All of a sudden the races are off and the ball moving, and the Miracles just, it could be a matter of fact that you go with pretty well 9 players and maybe out of gas right now.
Yeah, the wheels have totally come off this wagon for the Miracles.
Mitchell checks in.
Starting to look down that Miracle bench and see if we can see some guys that haven't been able to get any action. We haven't seen Brandon Kearney in the second half. We haven't seen John T at all in this series. He's played 0 minutes thus far.
Wong hasn't played this afternoon.
Darryl Wong had limited minutes in game number 1 as well.
Kitali didn't even dress, so I mean, that's the thing is that you're looking at, as you say, 12 minus 3, that's 9. It's just not a recipe for success here.
No, not against this team that likes to run all reserves out there, likes to play at least 10, 11 guys. Night in, night out.
And Otieno has come in, and he got some minutes there in the later stages of the season. Only played 2 and didn't get a point there on Friday night. Into the game now for the Hurricanes. A story now, and this is pretty well what they're going to have to do, is almost resort back to their own game that they played in the regular season, relying, living and dying on the three to try to get back into it. Oh, White flies by Bird, hands it to Watson, he can't hit. Nice ball move of Billy White, showing a little bit of frustration. In the meantime, Miracles were coming back with numbers, and a nice tough bucket there by Tate, and one.
Tate is going from end to end when he gets the basketball. When they have numbers, he is looking to push the basketball and continue to be aggressive and score at the rim. Even though there might be a guy or two on his left and his right that are wide open from three-point range, but he's doing a good job of attacking the rim and finishing, and he finished at that particular opportunity there. But they need to get better defensively. Right now, they're doing nothing to stop this barrage of attacking the rim, knocking down shots in mid-range, knocking down shots from beyond the arc by the Halifax Hurricanes. So major adjustments need to be made by head coach Paul McKeskey as he talks things over with his assistant Matt Robertson to try to come up with some answers. Because if not, this Hurricane team is definitely going on to game number 3 with a stranglehold on this series.
And the news keeps getting better because they have 53 seconds left in Charlottetown, and the Riptide are leading by 11, 100-89. So it looks like that series will go to a 5th and decisive game. The Iowa Storm had a chance to eliminate the Riptide this afternoon. It looks like a 5th and decisive game will be going back to Harbor Station.
Yeah, it's not. The Riptide's going to be a tough out. They look very good in the second half of this regular season, and they've been very good and been basically giving everybody in the Atlantic Division and the Central Division headaches, as they were able to. They had a very nice Central Division swing, got a couple victories up there, came back here, was able to knock off put a few stretches together here in the Atlantic Division, and almost push Halifax to the brink where they overcame them to win the Atlantic Division.
Also taking place this afternoon, game number 2 between the Windsor Express and the Titan, the Kitchener-Waterloo Titan. They had a pretty close game there on Friday night, but this afternoon, not so much. 66-48 right now, and the Windsor Express have their hand on the jugular, looking to go up 2-0. And that's really important for them because pretty well the London Lightning, who have only had 5 losses in the regular season, know that they're almost close to eliminating the Orangeville Ace. So it's important for the Windsor Express to keep even so that they don't give the Lightning an advantage as a deep 3 goes there for Clinkscales. Oh, the two-headed slam there by Mitchell.
Tim Mitchell.
108-86. As you take a look at the 3 there by Clinkscales. We're back here on regular play here with 5 to go. And you mentioned about Kearney, Vince. He's to the scorer's table right now. An entry pass there, push there by Bird, and Bird say, really, seriously? Not too happy about the hold.
Maybe a little too late there for Brandon Kearney. I would have liked to see him come in the game a little bit early. Here in the third quarter when things were starting to come undone. Now he's been one of the bright spots for the Miracles in this series. It's been very good offensively, and not having that type of offense on the floor when you really need it was definitely missed in that run by the Hurricanes as they went on a 25-8 run and pretty much buried the Miracles this afternoon.
Trying to hit the score sheet, was unable to. Here is Cardi, as Vince mentioned, would like to see him more there in that third quarter out here, the closing minutes of the game. Tate, too strong as it bounces in and out of the hoop. Clinkscales stops and puts on the brakes. Still has control of the basketball. Cox coming up, and he tells Cox to go set up a little bit further. The floor general, the team captain, alley-oop. Oh, Watson unable to connect with the oop. So he was oops on the oop of the alley-oop. Makes it one, and it stays at 108-86.
Team foul.
Well, I tell you what, if you're going to be successful in guarding number
Joey
12,
Haywood
Clint Scales,
checks in
you better
for
not give him
Halifax.
space. And you better not think that if he's standing between the three-point line and the half-court line that he won't make the right decision.
Corey
Lucius stops and
for
pops
3.
there from outside the arc.
Because we have seen it all season long. We have seen it since he landed here in Halifax and playing for multiple franchises that he's able to deliver the basketball on any part of the court.
Otieno swings it in the corner there to Watson. Otieno now an entry pass to the clock at 4. Dixon well covered, puts it up. Tough bucket over
Ronaldo
Burnett.
Dixon.
Ronaldo perfect on the afternoon, continuing to be perfect, outstanding, and
just
that's
like
his
that,
10th.
Yeah, he has joined the double-digit party. Bird, 3.
Russell
Oh, he
Bird
puts up a nice
for
rainbow and
3.
it goes down 110 to 92. They just need some stops now. But they have not been able to get them here. The third quarter got away from them, and now looking at the possibility of heading to Moncton down 2-0, 3:03 left to go here in the fourth. Watson there with a finger rolling in, 112 to 92.
The problem this afternoon for the Miracles is they're not getting enough pressure
Hurricane
on the
foul
basketball.
on Tyrone
We're seeing
Watson.
outstanding ball movement
His
by
second.
Halifax, but Halifax are moving the ball without resistance. There's usually a guy about an arm's
foul
length and
number
a half
5.
away from the guy delivering the
Zimmerman
pass. On
checks
that
in.
last trip down, that pass by Otieno was delivered with the guy at arm's length and a half away, and he had a clear path look at that guy moving without the basketball as Bird being aggressive and attacking the rim.
Cox said it was all ball to John Hunt, and he said, and John Hunt said, no, not my
Fifth
call.
personal
It was
foul
McGrattan
on
that
Anthony
made the call.
Cox.
But
Team
Cox
foul
whiffed the
number
foul.
6, Russell
Here you
Bird
see
at
it
the
on the
line.
replay. Thinking it was all ball, but the back official is McGrattan.
Yeah.
Made that call. Bird to the line, and the Bird for 4 here from the stripe.
Inability to guard the man with the basketball and not allow him to make an easy pass has been the reason why Moncton is in this big deficit.
112 to 94 now with 2:44 left to go. Barring the roof caving in and
They might need the roof to cave in here to stop this game.
And pigs starting to fly. This one may look like that the Hurricanes will go up 2-0.
Once again, the spacing for Zimmerman to deliver that alley-oop pass on the backside, given up by the Miracles, and the opportunity to go to the line to shoot 2 free throws for Otieno.
Miracles foul.
So
on
when
number
Coach Paul
5,
McKeskey takes a
Tyron
look at
Beatty.
this game film, if he does it all to analyze it, he's going to see that his team just didn't bring it defensively. They just didn't bring the aggressive nature
Miracle
that they did
foul,
in the first
correction on number
24
3,
minutes of the
Brandon
game
Kearney.
when they were up on everybody and they were in the face of their opponent.
Kearney now
His second.
taps the official, gets a return back to
Team foul number
McKeskey.
5. Kenny Ochino
I've
with the
never seen
line.
that. I've never
Attempting
seen
his
that
second.
before. It's like, hey,
Well,
this guy
McKeskey was-
has something to say to you.
Well, he was standing there and he wasn't really saying anything, but he looked like he wanted to say something. to
Otieno
McGrattan.
on the score sheet now. 114 to 94. Under 2.5 left here. The defending Atlantic Division champions here in control of this one. And Cox, what an effort he's had here this afternoon.
Yeah, great job by Anthony Cox standing his ground.
Especially after having the difficult season that he had.
Oh,
The up and down roller coaster ride.
did he ever? At one point, he was announced that he was inactive and actually released all in the same day and came out
Anthony
and basically turned his career,
Cox.
basically turned his time around here in Halifax as he saved his opportunity to be part of this lineup, because at one point he was on the chopping block.
Russell
Bird
Bird
there.
for 3.
Lets it fly and down it goes. 116 to 97. 100 seconds left to go. Going end to end here from the Scotiabank Center. Boy, this is tiring.
Trading baskets is no good though for Moncton.
Yeah, they can't hit that time. Tate having more of something to say. Actually, he lost his shoe, so they have numbers.
Kenny
Outstanding effort.
Shoe back on.
Outstanding effort and hustle there by Kenny as he didn't give up on the play. He figured that Joey was going to make that layup, but Kenny staying with it was able to get the put back to go, and that's the type of effort that we've seen in this second half.
And it rattles around like a hula hoop for Tate and in.
I knew you were waiting to make that call. But the effort, the intensity, just not there in the second half, and that's the separation.
Well, thanks for letting me get it in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, yeah, I mean, you could just see it. And then just the demeanor by the Miracles in that 25-6 run that Halifax went on in that third quarter. You could just see it that they gave up the ghost, and they just didn't have enough left in the tank in the fourth to overcome the deficit.
Under a minute to go here in the fourth quarter. Haywood going end-to-end.
Anthony
Cox
But Cox
continue
hurting once again.
to be good.
And the
Tim
two-handed
Mitchell.
jam by Mitchell. As we take a look at the Haywood drive there on replay.
Boy, what he put on some outstanding ball handling skills in that last trip down. Joey did, as he gained the separation, was able to beat two men in the open floor at the timeline and blow by his man and get to the rim.
And you got to like the effort here by Mitchell, is that he's trying to make a statement here for game
Miracles
3.
foul on
Even though
number
this one's
55,
pretty well
Russell
in
Bird,
the
his fourth
books
personal
right
foul.
now.
But that
Going to
statement,
make it say,
Team
yeah,
foul
a statement to say,
6.
look, you're going to come into our barn. It's not going to be
Haywood
easy for
at the
game 3,
line.
guys.
but it has to be on the defensive end. I mean, offensively, they've been good. I mean, they got 100 points. When you score 100 points, you should win basketball games. But if you're surrendering over 120 points, you're not going to win basketball games. In the other game, they had 91 points, and they gave up 100. So, I mean, it starts on the defensive end.
They have struggled defensively, like even before, like Paul Wachowski took over the program from Serge Langes. They've always had great offensive players. Like
Exactly.
they've had like
Great outstanding offensive numbers.
It goes from Dexter Strickland. I mean,
Yeah, you look at the guys that came through
Yeah.
this Moncton Miracles
exactly. They've
organization.
been offensive shooters, but just defensively, just kind
That's
of
the
not there.
Achilles heel. That's the turning point. That's the mountain that they need to overcome and they need to climb
Yeah.
if they're going to be successful.
Yeah, it was the player that slipped my mind there. It was James Justice, who was on
Yes.
there last year. So,
Yeah, Strickland and Justice were outstanding. Those guys were dynamite.
and this year it's been Mitchell and Johnson, but they got to start playing some D here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let the crowd take it home here on a Sunday afternoon here from the Scotiabank Center.
Yep. Offense wins regular season games.
Miracles foul
Defense
on
wins
Kearney.
playoff championships.
His
Yeah.
third.
That's
And-
the difference.
And you think that they might have been able to start playing defensively. Like when I looked at the
Joey
stats and the
Haywood at
numbers,
the
also
line.
caught your guys' call there a little bit there on Friday night, and seeing that they had a little bit of better defensive effort, but it just came off the tracks again because this team, like, for giving up in terms of like offense in the regular season, they have given up a total of 111.8. That's the average, so you can see
Not
where
good.
their difficulties are.
Not good. Can't win basketball games. You can't win championship games. These are championship games. Every game is a championship game if you win
Lucius.
closer to the championship.
Tate with the put back, but
Terrell
well too
Tate.
little, well too late.
Right.
We're
Moncton
heading to
Miracles.
Moncton, up 2
We're hoping
games
to
to
come in
nothing.
and
The
upset,
final
get a
score
split.
of Game
That
2
did
of the
not
first
happen. They
round of the
lose this
playoffs. The
afternoon,
Moncton Miracles
123 to the Halifax Hurricanes.
Your Hurricanes
lead the best of 5 series 2-0,
123.
and they have a chance to wrap things up at the Moncton Coliseum Wednesday night. That's Game 3 of this series.
The Hurricanes would like to
In the
thank you for
meantime,
coming
the
out today.
Riverside
You
and
can
the
catch
Iowa
the
Star
action
will be
on
playing
the
game
road
number
for
5.
Game
So,
3 at the
all
Moncton
good news.
Coliseum.
So
Tune
we
in
want
to
to
our
thank everybody
live
for tuning in
stream
here
this
to the
Wednesday,
webcast.
May
From
the
our broadcast
10th.
colleague,
The
Mitch
tip-off
Williams.
is at
My
7
name's Dan Hobson.
p.m.
Thank you for watching. So long from the Scotiabank Center.